Finally tonight, a little more history, living history, at least for now. The people who experienced World War II as teenagers and young adults are now in their 80s and their 90s. And we thought it was important that future generations of Americans in 20 or 50 or even 100 years still have a chance to get to know these folks as we do and understand a little bit about what they went through. So this year Channel 9 is gathering their stories, your stories, on tape, on paper, by email, however we can get it. You'll find some of it on the air, some of it on our website, but all of it will be archived.
Amphibious forces.
On Living St. Louis, we're also doing a lot of stories this year about World War II, the people, the history, the impact on our community. And as Patrick Murphy shows us tonight, the stories are really all around us, even if very often we just pass them right by.
The war was still raging, its outcome uncertain, when a group of community leaders decided that the city of St. Louis should construct a memorial to its war dead. The St. Louis World War II Memorial Committee sponsored a competition to design what would be called the Court of Honor. And the winner was Eugene Mackey, Jr., a professor of architecture at Washington University. For his son, Gene Mackey, who also grew up to be an architect, the Court of Honor is a memorial to those who made the supreme sacrifice and to his father's vision of how best to honor them.
Gene, you've got this wonderful photograph of you and your father. You're just a little boy in this.
I was about 10 years old.
And you're actually sitting on this bench.
On this very bench.
You remember the photograph being taken?
I do, and I remember a lot about the building of the memorial. This was an important civic building. Every architect in St. Louis was competing for this commission. There had really not been very much construction during the war, and this was one of the first new things to be built in St. Louis, and that it should be a memorial for the war.
A memorial commemorating this war could be built in no other place than the heart of the city's civic plaza. For years, the wounds of the war would be fresh and still painful, and this space was a refuge for friends and family, a place to reflect and remember. The cornerstone was laid in 1945, and as St. Louisans adjusted their lives to peacetime, the project took shape along Market Street west of Tucker. A 40-foot limestone shaft rose from the east end of the court. Along the walls of the sunken plaza, 16 granite tablets would display the names of 2,573 of the city's war dead. The Court of Honor was dedicated on Memorial Day 1948, following a downtown parade attended by 10,000 people.
There's something about this space sort of under the ground just a little bit, all of the names, the openness. It's reminiscent of the Vietnam Memorial in Washington.
Well, in an interesting way, you're absolutely right. It has the same openness and sense of hope, but yet it recalls and mentions all of the war dead here in a very open space. This Court of Honor is a complement to the Soldiers' Memorial that's across the street, which is a building. So the idea of this being an open courtyard relating to the museum building is a very logical way to go about it, so that it's protected from the busyness of the city, but it's open to the city, and it welcomes all those to come and remember the fallen men and women who sacrificed so much.
The court was very much a collaborative project between Mackey, the architect, and Hillis Arnold, the sculptor who designed the shaft. Arnold worked at the Cranbrook Academy of Art in Detroit with such giants of design as Elio Saarinen and Carl Millis. In fact, Arnold originally came to St. Louis to work with Millis on the Meeting of the Waters across from Union Station. Arnold, who was deaf, attributed his talent to an ability to, as he put it, hear with his eyes and tell a story in stone.
It's telling a story about the commitment of of us as citizen soldiers. You'll notice in the shaft that there are figures of families, women, children, and all of the services are represented here, all moving off into battle, but then always looking upward. There's a sense of hope in this shape, which is consistent with the openness of the court of honor itself. And it expresses the appreciation of the citizenry. This is a very, very populist type of memorial.
On the eastern edge of the shaft, a small simple plaque expresses the gratitude of the city.
To our sons and daughters who gave their lives for God and country, their loyalty, courage, and faith will live in the heart of a grateful city.
Choosing the proper words for a memorial such as this is important, but in this case, attributing them also got a little political.
The essence of our struggle is that men shall be free.
This was a quotation from FDR, and it faces Market Street. The memorial was built during a Republican administration in the city, and therefore there was some sensitivity about identifying it. My father later suggested to me it would be a good idea to give FDR credit for this, and we did that.
So you took that on yourself?
I did.
The names of those killed in Korea and Vietnam have since been given their place in the Court of Honor. Other names from other wars might follow. As time passes, and those who have mourned the fallen join them, the memory of their sacrifice remains in this place, carved in stone for the ages.